Welcome to this beautiful day. Welcome to this moment, to the glory of this moment, the fullness and the openness of this moment, this wild, unabandoned moment, this moment of reality, of being real. That all that life is ever asking of us is to be real. All we're ever actually truly longing for is to be real. That freedom is to be real. That the living reality is created out of the frequency of being real, of reality being itself, the being itself. What is just being naturally what is, right? Because there's only one, and everything that appears in creation has appeared out of that one and dissolves back into that one. However, that one is dancing in appearance, it never ever divides, and it never ever leaves itself. It appears as the many, but in its essence, it is only ever one. Whatever we are that one, right? Just feel into that in this moment. Do you find a place that knows that? Do you reach the intelligence of that knowing that there is only one and you can only belong to that one? That you are made of that one fabric, and that it's not a mental or intellectual understanding, it's a deep, intelligent knowing what you are made of, what you belong to, what is real, what is true. Just to touch the frequency of that recognition, that remembrance, that resonance of remembrance. And that when we speak about what is, we're speaking about that in appearance right now. Creative intelligence appearing as creation. And actually, in a way, how that manifests and dances and appears through the flow of intelligence and the unique laws of natures that we are made of. In a way, all that we are really being invited into is to be in total open acceptance of the moment in order to be in a depth of relaxation where we recognize our very own self in our true nature, and that we keep handing creation back to Creator instead of entering into creation as a separate, divided individual that feels like I have to try to master creation and I am alone here. That we just keep handing back creation to Creator, like we hand back the sense of individuality back to the one. We hand all that we think we are and what we have learned to believe we are back to God and glory, back to the Mother, back to the light, back to love. We just keep handing it back. That we actually don't have to do anything, right? What a joke. That we are absolutely ensconced in the idea of all these things we have to do, but we actually have nothing to do but to be in the full, real reality of this moment as an open, awesome moment of wonder and inspiration. And instead of taking up an idea of what I have to do in order to be free to awaken, all that actually needs to happen is that I let go of the doer and I let God do. I recognize that God is the only doer, grace is the only doer. And in that, open to what is. And then what does it actually then mean to just keep handing creation back to Creator? How do I stop kind of entering into the costume and playing out that role of doer? And with that role of doer and the costume tends to come all of these layers of protection and ideas of what I need to do in order to be free, what I need to do in order to know love, what I need to do in order to be loved, what I need to do in order to be happy, what I need to do to feel the grace and glory of my true nature. But we see right there that the obstacle is that interceptor that believes that I have to do something to be what I already am, right? Because I already am. I already am. And there's nothing that I need to do in order to be myself, be the true one, because I already am. And so as these words come, just to feel into the intelligence that you are made of that already knows this. And this is the beauty, is that there's nothing to understand. These words are not a teaching. They're not offering something that you need to take notes about and learn about. It's truly an attunement and a joining in this frequency that as we say yes to join and gather in satsang, what satsang is a frequency field of truth. It's always here. And somehow when we, as a consciousness, say yes to gather in thy name, right? In our longing for truth, when we follow that thread and we gather in thy name, in the name of truth, in the name of God and glory, when we come together with the intention and aspiration of our heart being to know the truth of who we are, we've already said yes to enter into a frequency field. And so satsang itself is a frequency field. So we enter into that frequency field where we say, great glory, let me know the truth. Do whatever it takes. I'm yours. Move the pieces of the puzzle of the play of life to reveal and show me the truth of who I am. And please, great glory, show me too my blind spots and the karmic obscurations, that I may be the full and fragrant, glorious knowing of myself as a likeness of you, as a child of God and glory, that I may know what God actually is and release all conceptual misunderstanding associated with religion and dogma and institution, that I may release all of the conceptual misunderstanding and actually by my own heart and by your grace, I may actually know what God and glory is, and I may receive the belonging of this heart to the one, that I may actually receive myself as a child of the one, of grace, of glory, of the mother of God, that I may receive myself as a being of light and beauty and divine purity, and I may be myself instead of attempting to do myself. Do what it takes to be myself. Do what I think it means. May I see through all of the ways that I obscure the great glorious light of revelation. And may I receive the revelation in my heart, the fullness and the beauty and the truth of who I am. By just being here as what is, with what is, right? That as we rest here, the intelligence of what reality is starts to reveal itself in our fabric, in the essence, in the intelligent structure of what we are. That we start to be revealed at a cellular DNA level of intelligence. We start to be revealed at a level of subtle body, refined perception, light intelligence. We start to be revealed as the light of awareness, a light of consciousness. We start to be revealed as a frequency of all-inclusive, all-encompassing openness and unconditionality that we give the word love to, right? That we're opening to the actual aliveness and the fullness of our true multidimensional feeling, sensing beingness. That then we start to realize that in our humanness, we are being animated, we are being moved by a creative force and flow that is creating an appearance of what we are as a mind, body, instrument, vehicle that's multidimensional, a subtle body, a light body, the bliss body, that we're this multidimensional being, a field of intelligence, that we're consciousness, just in a constant flow of knowing itself, constantly in a flow of knowing itself. And we also know ourselves as a human, as a unique human that feels to be individual and is individual in its uniqueness, right? That we know ourselves kind of multidimensionally, but we've learned to focus upon the human, and we've learned to believe that as a human we are flawed or deficient or lacking, and that maybe our human life is about trying to fix and change the problem of me and try to achieve something. Whereas actually, the great glorious invitation is to courageously, willingly be yourself, be real, be undone, undressed, right? Because God already knows you intimately. Nothing is hiding in the eye of God. You are known, you are seen, you are loved, you are thanked, you are held, because you are made of the very same substance, and in that, in the likeness of God and glory. This is not a religious teaching or understanding. This is not something that you hear in in doctrine and dogma of the teachings that are blossoming out of the true reality, but where there's been a lot of misinterpretation. We are made of that intelligence, and as such, we are the church, the temple, the glory. We are, in this moment, we are the one, the place, the environment, the moment of revelation of this glorious truth and the great glorious good news of who we are. That the climate of the world is a reflection of the mind of man. It's a reflection of distortion. It's a reflection of imbalance. And yet, if we are living in our own knowing of freedom, we don't see that distortion of world. Like we have a sense of it, but in a way, normally because it's being fed to us as companion beliefs and images of distortion. But the distortion is only according to your capacity to distort reality, right? The sense of the divided one, the separate one, the ego sense, is really just the unconscious part of ourselves. But if we're living from the ego sense, from the unconscious part of ourselves, instead of from the conscious part of ourselves, then of course life's going to feel challenging. If we're moving from the unconscious patterns and behaviors and conditionings and protections, instead of moving from the conscious knowing of the heart, then we're going to feel the burn of that and the stress of that. And so if we can open to the conscious part of ourselves, which is one consciousness, and we open to the grace of this field, we're opening to basically the actual light, an open transmission field of love and unconditionality that we are. We're opening to be real, to be ourselves. And this offers us this possibility to be real and unprotected around the parts of us that want to hide and hold on. Because we end up living in this kind of tricky and confusing place where we want change and we want to flower and we want to blossom, but the unconscious parts of us are saying, yeah, actually, no, I don't want that, right? The ego sense is saying, yeah, I don't actually want that. And so it's like an inner discernment, an unfolding to recognize and be able to hold the parts of us that are committed to pain and division and separation, and innocently so. But these inner parts of us that are committed, and so there can be a sense of, I want help, I want to change, I want to blossom. But there are these unconscious places that are saying, well, actually, I don't want to. I'm not open to that, right? I would rather stay safe in my pain and my powerlessness. I would rather stay safe here than open to what I don't know and I can't control, right? And so when we're living from that frequency, we are creating our life from that frequency, which means that we're creating to actually call forward our blind spots and the unconscious. And that's when challenges in life keep appearing, because they're going to, in a way, those frequencies in us of protection are going to start infiltrating our relationships, our work, our health. Everything is going to be infiltrated by the unconscious, because we're creating out of that. We're creating out of a limited palette, right? It's like we've only got black and white on the palette, maybe a little bit of red. There's only so many color variations, tints and hues and tones that we can create out of a limited palette. So God and glory, the creative intelligence, is out of a limited palette, is creating a life for us to say, hang on a minute, there's some kind of limitation happening here, because I'm noticing some repeaters going on, right? So out of the limited palette, we're creating, and God and glory is giving us as many diverse possibilities, but out of a limited palette of possibility. Whereas ultimately, we are an infinite field of possibility, but we're not accessing the full spectrum. It's like, so as we start to open, we bring in, ooh, a little bit of blue. Ooh, nice, right? If we start mixing, we got purple, we got lilac, we got lavender, right? We got all sorts of slightly new color tones going on, and we start feeling a little bit joyous. Oh, this is feeling a little bit more colorful, but we're still missing green, right? We're still missing green, and we're still missing the the full spectrum of possibilities, of kind of rainbow possibilities. The next thing that becomes frustrating to the me and the mind is we don't know how to access what is unconscious because we don't even know it's there. So we're moving in a way of living which is kind of like spinning our wheels, right? We can't quite get out of the ditch. Spinning the wheels, spinning the wheels, spinning the wheels, right? Can't quite get out because we're not using like the full capacity, and we don't know why, and we just keep spinning and spinning, and we're within that limited palette. We don't know how to bring the yellow in so that we could have a little bit of green, perhaps a little bit of orange. We could make some really amazing chromatics, right? So this is where life comes in. This is the grace of life. This is the grace of the play of what feels limited in our life, is that what feels limited is not our enemy. What feels limited is not something to be judged and criticized and hated upon. What feels limited in our life is the means, the portal. It is the means by which we receive reflection of what is limited. And we then have this possibility to open kindly, gently, patiently to the parts of ourself that are not being fully engaged, so that we can start living from a more of a fullness. We can start living from more of the essence and uniqueness of what we are, and we can actually start to flower and blossom in that uniqueness, which is ultimately what we are all longing for. And in a way, it is the grace and possibility of a human life. And at this time, we have more possibility than we have ever had. Now, we've likely, in the play of cause and effect and the limitation of mind consciousness, we've likely lived through many, many lives where we've just got used to not opening to the fullness of who we are. So we can also be resting in a kind of resigned, powerless, meaningless sense of what's the point, or how am I ever going to get there, or like an unworthiness, a lack of energy and vitality. And all of these can be the frequencies from which we are living, while all the while in the presence field, the full spectrum of color, the full supply of vital energy is completely available to us as a field of infinite possibility. And this is what we are being invited into by the grace and glory and by virtue of living a human life, is that we are opening to this moment, this moment as an open presence that then receives life, receives the reflection of life, and instead of pushing it away, resisting, being critical of either what's out there or critical of myself, we start opening to receive and include everything at the feeling, sensing level. We open multidimensionally to our incredible capacity to feel and sense and be awake and aware, to perceive both through the senses and as an awareness of all of that sensory perception. And as the awareness, we do not divide through sense perception. We don't divide. So we can multidimensionally recognize that as awareness, we don't divide the moment. We just receive the moment. We're just awake and alert to the moment. And just to be with what is and receive starts to unwind the patterns of what we maybe want to resist. And instead of resisting and pushing away, pushing back, we start to allow a softening and an unwinding and a being real with what's happening. So we are feeling what we're feeling. We're feeling the anger and the sadness and the confusion and the stress and the anxiety. We're feeling it, but we're not resisting it. We're feeling it, and we're receiving the grace and the glory of our ability to feel. We're receiving the child of the mind that is confused and stressed and anxious. We're receiving that there's an incredibly fine-tuned intelligence at play that is orchestrating life, not against us, but to support us and to reveal to us that actually we're being supported by life, and even deeper, we are one with life, that there's only one intelligence, only one power, right? And through the unfolding and deepening within our inner landscape, we're starting to realize how powerful we are and what is possible in this life, right? We're starting to open more fully to the multidimensional being, and we're starting to open to the presence field and the consciousness that we are and the intelligence that we are. And so this is where we speak of, we give then creation back to Creator. Instead of feeling like I'm lost and alone and divided, that I'm just cycling in my own kind of wheels spinning, and I don't know how to do this, and I'm in my pain body, and here I am, and I'm stuck here. We actually open to what will help us get out of the ditch, and that we're fully resourced. When we connect to Source, we're resourced by the Source, by the great divine, by the glory, by the true flow of intelligence of life, to actually give us the bridge, the support that will help us out of the ditch, so that we can actually start flowing in the fullness of who we are. And so it's not about understanding. It's not about psychologically digging around. It's about being so fully present to receive the clues that whatever is discordant in the life is reflecting something. And are you willing, able, open to receive the reflection? Are you open to the support that life is offering? Are you open for change to happen? Are you open to receive the guidance and help that is right here on hand? Are you saying yes to the possibilities that are here? Are you open to realize that you maybe don't see the full picture right now? And are you willing to keep asking in a way by being present for yourself and open? Great glory, reveal to me what I cannot see. Reveal why I'm not able to see and receive right now. Show me. I am willing. I want to see, right? Because when that frequency is actually truly connected, the seeing will come. There can also be the speaking of, yeah, I want to see, but the wires are not connected inside because it's not a true willingness. The frequency is saying, I don't actually want to see. I don't actually want to change. And that frequency is fear, and it's innocent. It's a fear that's innocent. But when we notice that something like that is present, we actually have to just notice within our own self. And can I hold myself here and recognize that fear is present? Can I actually recognize honestly and be real with myself and say, wow, I'm actually resisting change. I'm actually afraid that things will change, and the not knowing of that is actually too scary for me to let go, right? Because even that realness starts to connect the wires and brings in a kind of kindness and gentleness and holding that accompanies us across the bridge and out of the ditch, right? But again, another way that we speak of this is, are we willing to accept that forgiveness is already here? Are we willing to accept that there's nothing to do, that it's already done? Are we willing to accept our identity as a child of God? Are we willing to accept that the grace and glory is here and that we don't have to work for it in a way of making ourselves better or fixing ourselves or being lovable or worthy? That it's about connecting the wires in our own heart that just says, yes, okay, I'm yours. Yes, okay, surrender. Love, I'm yours. God, glory, I'm yours. I don't know how, I don't know the fullness. There's sketchy parts in my understanding, and yet somehow I know it to a depth where I can surrender and say, I'm yours. Lead me, guide me, show me, reveal the love here. Can I stop living my life in a mantra of what's the problem here and how am I being hurt, damaged, and then projecting blame outwards? How can I rest here and say, show me how I'm creating this, show me what I cannot see, show me the blind spots, show me how this is all love. So instead of saying, how can I fix this? How can I change this? How can I get away from this? Why are you deserting me, right? Can I actually open to say, may love be revealed here. May love be revealed here. May the truth be revealed here. And not just for me, but for all beings, right? May this happening be the great revealing of love. May I see clearly. May I know that I am not being deserted here, that you have never abandoned me, never rejected me, never left me out, cast me out. I have always been your child, and you have always been faithful to me. Can you forgive me for believing that it would be possible to be apart from you? And even in that frequency, we have to realize that the forgiveness is already here. We are already forgiven. We are already forgiven because God and glory is the intelligence that has created the whole way the play and the show is playing, right? So God and glory only sees God and glory. God and glory says, thank you, my child, for playing and being an active participant in the glorious dream. Thank you for being a soul incarnated as a human. Thank you for playing your part on behalf of the whole. And in a way, it's like within the heart, God knows there's only God. God is willing to conceal God in the play and go through the whole play of revealing, wow, it was me all along. right? And that's the revelation possible in every heart. The revelation of, I've always been myself. I've always been myself. I've always been the true one. I've always been the divine one. I've always been the peace, the beauty, and the openness of the one heart. I've always been myself. So let's just be real here. Let's just be real here. So what are you noticing as you meet yourself here? The beauty and glory of yourself. That there's nothing to do, nothing to work for, just to receive the great, glorious, unconditional, redemptive, perfect, spotless love of God and glory in your heart. Because in this we receive our perfection. We receive the frequency of goodness. We receive a frequency of goodness that says, there was never anything wrong here. I've spent so many years making myself wrong, trying to fix myself, judging myself, criticizing myself, holding myself in pain, and projecting that pain as blame, because I couldn't bear to feel my own guilt and shame. And yet the glory has been loving me fully and wholly all along. I have always been in the full belonging all the way along. So just to receive it, what is happening now? What are you noticing in your unique, direct experience in this moment? Just to receive the light of revelation, the light of the transmission field that brings the revelation of the heart, that dawns in your heart as the knowing of God and glory, the knowing of yourself. Just where you feel that resonant frequency of truth, of recognizing, nothing to hang on to or understand, just to receive the frequency transmission of your very own pure heart coming into a reconciliation. Mm-hmm. And so just being here and receiving yourself, what are you noticing? What is enlivened? Just resting here. Being real, opening to reality. We start to shift the frequency of holding ourselves bound to a frequency of willingness and courage, a willingness and courage for change to happen, to not know, to just be alive as the glory and wonder and love of life, just loving itself, living itself, and that we're open to the spontaneous and rich, diverse adventure of the appearance of creation and the dance of a human life. But we're open to it from a place that can receive the reflections and receive the grace of everything that happens as the means for us to feel and sense and deepen in our capacity to know ourselves and to know our essence, the fabric, the alive fabric of the true self, to know the truth of what I is, who I am, the one I that has never deviated from its knowing of itself and is an integral wholeness. That life is a kind of magic. It's a magic show. When we can see as awareness, we start to see as the intelligence, as the flow of consciousness that sees that it's a magic show. And on a certain level, yes, it's illusory. What's illusory is the sense of separation, the sense of division, and a magic that what is whole and undivided can appear in so many configurations that can seem so challenging and intense and conflicting at times. But when we are rooted in our connection to Source and resourced from Source, we know nothing can touch us because we're creating it all. This is the mystical revelation, and in a way, the mystical revelation is our greatest protection. No one can touch a true mystic. Nothing can touch a true mystic, because the mystical revelation is the knowing there is only God and there's nothing to fear.